Exodus chapter 34. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, Cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I shall write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. And be ready in the morning, then you shall come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. And let no man come up with you, and let no man be seen in all the mountain. And let not even the flock or the herd feed in front of that mountain. And he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moshe rose early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai, as Yahuwah had commanded him. And he took the 2 tablets of stone in his hand. And Yahuwah came down in the cloud and stood with him, and proclaimed the name Yahuwah. And Yahuwah passed before him, and proclaimed, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, and El, compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in loving commitment and truth, watching over loving commitment for thousands, forgiven crookedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon them, the children and their children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. And Moshe hurried and bowed himself toward the earth and did obeisance, and said, If now I have found favor in your eyes, O Yahuwah, I pray, let Yahuwah go on in our midst, even though we are stiff-necked, and forgive our crookedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. And he said, See, I am making a covenant before all your people. I am going to do wonders such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahuwah. For what I am doing with you is awesome. Guard what I command you today. See, I am driving out from before you the Amorite, the Canaanite, and Hittite, and the Pizrite, and the Hivite, and Yeshbite. Guard yourselves lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. You break down their slaughter places, and smash their pillars, and cut down their Asherim. And you do not bow yourselves to any other mighty one. For Yahuwah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous El. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones, and one of them invites you, and you eat of his slaughterings, and you take of his daughters and for your sons, and his daughters whore after their mighty ones, and make your sons whore after their mighty ones. Do not make a molded mighty one for yourselves. Guard the festival of Matzah. For 7 days you eat unlimited bread, as I commanded you in the appointed time of the new month of Abib, because in the new month of Abib you came out of Mishraim. Everyone opening the womb is mine, and every male firstborn among your livestock, whether bull or sheep. But the firstborn of a donkey you ransom with a lamb, and if you do not ransom, then you shall break its neck. Every firstborn of your sons shall ransom, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you work, but on the 7th day you rest. In plowing time and in harvest you rest. And perform the festival of Shavuot for yourself, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times in the year all your men are to appear before the Master Yahuwah, the Eluah of Yashrael. For I dispossess nations before you, and shall enlarge your borders, and let no one covet your land when you go up to appear before Yahuwah your Eluah 3 times in the year. Do not slay the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of Pesach remain until morning. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land to the house of Yahu'ah your Eluah. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And let Yahu'ah said to Moshe, write these words, for according to the mouth of these words I have made a covenant with you in Yashrael. And he was there with Yahu'ah 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread and he did not drink water. He wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. And it came to be when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the 2 tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hands, when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone since he had spoken with him. And Aaron and all the children of Yashrael looked at Moshe and saw the skin of his face shone. And they were afraid to come near him. But Moshe called out to them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him. And Moshe spoke to them. And after all the children of Yashrael came near, and he commanded them all that Yahuwah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moshe ended speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But whenever Moshe went in before Yahuwah to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out. And when he came out, he spoke to the children of Yashrael what he had been commanded. And the children of Yashrael would see the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone, and Moshe would put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with him. Exodus chapter 35. And Moshe assembled all the congregation of the children of Yashrael, and said to them, these are the words which Yahuwah had commanded you to do. Work is to be done 6 days, but on the 7th day it shall be set apart to you a Sabbath of rest to Yahuwah. Anyone doing work on it is put to death. Do not kindle a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. And Moshe spoke to all the congregation of the children of Yashrael, saying, this is the word which Yahuwah commanded, saying, take from among you a contribution to Yahuwah. Everyone rose whose heart so moves him, let him bring it as a contribution to Yahuwah, gold, silver, and bronze, and blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skin dyed red, and fine leather and acacia wood, and oil for the light, and spices for anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, and shoham stones, and stones to be set in the shoulder garments, and in the breastplate. And let all the wise-hearted among you come and make all that Yahuwah has commanded. The dwelling place, its tent, and its covering, its hooks, and its boards, its bars, its columns, and its sockets. The ark and its poles, the lid of atonement, and the veil of the covering, the table and its poles, and all its utensils, and the showbread, and the lampstand for the light, and its utensils, and its lamps, and the oil for the light, and the incense slaughter place, and its poles, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the covering for the door at the entrance of the dwelling place. The slaughter place of ascending offerings, with its bronze grating, its poles, and all its utensils, the basin and its stand, the screens of the courtyard, its columns and their sockets, and the covering for the gate of the courtyard, the pegs of the dwelling place, and the pegs of the courtyard, and their cords, the woven garments to do service in the set-apart place, the set-apart garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to serve as priests. And all the congregation of the children of Yashrael withdrew from the presence of Moshe. And everyone whose heart lifted him up, and everyone whose spirit moved him, came, and they brought the contribution to Yahu'ah for the work of the tent of appointment, and for all its service, and for the set apart garments. And they came, both men and women, and whose hearts moved them, and brought earrings and nose rings and rings and necklaces, all golden goods, even everyone who made a wave offering of gold to Yahu'ah. Every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet material and fine linen and goat's hair and ram skins dyed red and fine leather brought them. Everyone who made a contribution to Yahu'ah of silver or bronze brought it, and everyone whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the wise-hearted women spun yarn with their hands, and brought what they had spun, the blue and the purple and the scarlet material and the fine linen. And all the women whose hearts lifted them up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the rulers brought shoham stones, and the stones to be set in the shoulder garments and in the breastplate, and the spices and the oil for the light, and for the anointing oil and the sweet incense. The children of Yisrael brought a voluntary offering to Yahu'ah, all the men and women whose hearts moved them to bring all kinds of work which Yahu'ah, by the hand of Moshe, had commanded to be done. And Moshe said to the children of Yisrael, See, Yahu'ah has called by name Bashriel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah. And he has filled him with the spirit, the Ruach of Eluah, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, in all work, to make designs, to work in gold, in silver, and in bronze, and in cutting of stones for setting, and in carving wood, and to work in all workmanship of design. And he had put in his heart the ability to teach, in him, and Olab, son of Ashimach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with skill to do all work of the engraver and the designer and embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet material and in fine linen, and a weaver doing any work, and makers of designs. Exodus chapter 36. In Bestiel, in Olab, and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahuwah has given wisdom and understanding to know how to do all work for the service of the set-apart place, shall do according to all that Yahuwah has commanded. And Moshe called Bestiel and Oholab, and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahuwah had given wisdom, everyone whose heart lifted him up, to come and do the work. And they received from Moshe all the contribution which the children of Yisrael had brought for the work of the service of making the set-apart place. But they still brought to him voluntary offerings every morning. So all the craftsmen who were doing all the work of the set-apart place came, each from the work he was doing. And they spoke to Moshe, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahuwah commanded us to do. Then Moshe commanded, and they sent this word throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman do any more work for the contribution of the set-apart place. And the people were withheld from bringing. For what they had was enough for all the work to be done, more than enough. Then all the wise-hearted ones among them who worked on the dwelling place made 10 curtains woven of fine linen and blue and purple and scarlet material. They made them with cherubim, the work of a skilled workman. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits, and all the curtains having one measure. And he joined the 5 curtains one to another, and the other 5 curtains he joined one to another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of the end curtain of one set, and the same he did on the edge of the end curtain of the other set. 50 loops he made on one curtain, and 50 loops he made on the edge of the end of curtain of the second set. The loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 hooks of gold, and joined the curtains to each other with the hooks. And the dwelling place became one. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the dwelling place. He made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. The 11 curtains having one measure, and he joined 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops on the edge of the end of one set, and 50 loops, and he made on the edge of the curtains of the second set. And he made 50 bronze hooks to join the tent to be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of fine leather above that. And the dwelling place he made boards of acacia wood standing up. And the length of each board was 10 cubits, and the width of each board 1.5 cubits. Each board had 2 tenons for binding one to another. So did all the boards of the dwelling place. And he made boards for the dwelling place, 20 boards for the south side. And he made 40 sockets of silver to go under the 20 boards, and 2 sockets under each of the boards for its tenons. And for the other side of the dwelling place, for the north side, he made 20 boards. And there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under the other board. And he made 6 boards for the west side of the dwelling place. And he made 2 boards for the 2 back corners of the dwelling place. And they were double beneath, and similarly they were complete to the top by 1 ring. So he did to both of them for the 2 corners. And there were 8 boards and 3 silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under each of the boards. And he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards on one side of the dwelling place, and 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the dwelling place, and 5 bars on the boards of the dwelling place at the rear westward. And he made the middle bar to pass through the boards from one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and their rings he made of gold to be holders for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet material, and fine worked linen. It was made with cherubim, the work of a skilled workman. And he made 4 columns of acacia wood for it, and overlaid them with gold, and their hooks of gold, and he cast 4 sockets of silver for them. And he made a covering for the tent door of blue, purple, and scarlet material, and fine woven linen, made by a weaver, and its 5 columns with their hooks, and he overlaid their tops and their rings with gold, but their 5 sockets were bronze. Exodus chapter 37. And Bashael made the ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. And he overlaid it with clean gold inside and out, and made a molding of gold all around it. And he cast 4 rings of gold for it, for its feet, 2 rings on each side, and 2 rings on the other side. And he made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. And he put the poles in the rings at the sides of the ark to lift the ark. And he made a lid of atonement of clean gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. And he made 2 cherubim of beaten gold. He made them from the two ends of the lid of atonement. 1 cherub at one end, and the other cherub at the other end. He made the cherubim from the lid of atonement from the two ends. And the cherubim spread out their wings above and covered the lid of atonement with their wings. With their faces toward each other, the faces of the cherubim were turned toward the lid of atonement. And he made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long and 1 cubit wide and 1.5 cubits high. And he overlaid it with clean gold and made a molding of gold all around it. And he made a rim of a handbreadth all around it and made a molding of gold for the rim all around it. And he cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put the rings on the 4 corners that were at its 4 legs. The rings were next to the rim, as holders for the poles to lift the table. And he made the poles of acacia wood to lift the table, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the utensils which were on the table, its dishes, its cups, and its bowls, its jars for pouring, of clean gold. And he made the lampstand of clean gold. He made the lampstand of beaten work, its base and its shaft, its cups, its ornamental knobs, and its blossoms were from it. And 6 branches came out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand on one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand on the other side. There were 3 cups, like almond flowers, on the branch with ornamental knob and blossom, and 3 cups like almond flowers on the other branch, a knob, a blossom. For the 6 branches coming out of the lampstand. And on the lampstand were 4 cups, like almond flowers, its knob and blossoms. And under the first 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the second 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the third 2 branches of the same, for the 6 branches coming out of it. Their knobs and their branches were of it. All of it was one beaten work of clean gold. And he made 7 lamps, and its snuffers and its trays of clean gold. And he made it of a talent of clean gold and all its utensils. And he made the incense slaughter place of acacia wood, 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide, square and 2 cubits high. Its horns were on it. And he overlaid it with clean gold, its top and its sides, all around, and its horns. And he made a moldering for its gold all around it. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under its moldering at its 2 corners on both sides, as holders for the poles with which to lift it. And he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the set-apart anointing oil and the clean incense of sweet spices according to the work of the perfumer. Exodus 38. And he made the slaughter place of ascending offering of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide, square and 3 cubits high. And he made its horns on the 4 corners. The horns were of it, and he overlaid it with bronze. And he made all the utensils for the slaughter place, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the forks, the fire holders, made all these utensils of bronze. And he made a grating for the slaughter place of bronze network under its rim, midway from the bottom. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the bronze grating as holders for the poles. And he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. And he put the poles in the rings on the sides of the slaughter place, with which to lift it. He made the slaughter place hollow with boards. And he made the basin of bronze and its stands of bronze, from the bronze mirrors of the serving women who did service all the door of the tent of appointment. And he made the courtyard for the south side. The screens of the courtyard were of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long. Their 20 columns and their 20 sockets of bronze, and the hooks of the columns and their bands were of silver. And for the north side of the screens were 100 cubits long, their 20 columns and their 20 sockets of bronze, and the hooks of the columns and their bands were of silver. And for the west side there were screens 50 cubits, their 10 columns and their 10 sockets, their hooks and their columns and their bands were of silver. And for the east side 50 cubits. 50 cubits of screens on the one side with their 3 columns and their 3 sockets, and 15 cubits of screens on the other side of the courtyard gate. And this side and that side with their 3 columns and their 3 sockets. All the screens of the courtyard all around were of fine woven linen. And the sockets of the columns were bronze, the hooks of the columns and their bands were silver, and the overlay of their tops was of silver. And all the columns of the courtyard had bands of silver. And the covering for the gate of the courtyard was the work of an embroiderer of blue, purple, and scarlet material, and of fine woven linen, and 20 cubits long, and the height along its width was 5 cubits, corresponding to the screens of the courtyard. And the columns were 4, and their sockets of bronze 4, their hooks were silver, and the overlay of their tops and their bands were of silver. And all the pegs of the dwelling place in the courtyard all around were bronze. These were the appointments of the dwelling place of the witness, which was appointed by the mouth of Masha, for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. And Bashael, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, made all that Yahu'ah commanded Masha. And with him Aholab, son of Ashmiach, the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet material, and in fine linen. And all the work prepared, and all the gold prepared for the work, and all the work of the set apart place. And it was the gold of the wave offering came to be 29 talents, and 730 shekels, according to the shekel of the set apart place. And the silver from the ones counted of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the shekel of a set apart place. A bakah, half a shekel for a head, according to the shekel of the set apart place, for everyone passing over, to those counted from 20 years old and above, for 603,550 men. And the 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the set apart place, and the bases of the veil, 100 sockets from the 100 talents, a talent for each socket. In one of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the columns, and overlaid their tops, and made bands for them. And the bronze of the wave offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And he made with the sockets for the door of the tent of appointment in the bronze slaughter place and the bronze grating for it, and all the utensils for the slaughter place, and all the sockets for the courtyard around, and the bases for the courtyard gate, and all the pegs for the dwelling place, and all the pegs for the courtyard all around. Exodus chapter 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet material, they made woven garments to do service in the set apart place. And they made the set apart garments which were for Aaron, as Yahu'ah had commanded Moshe. And he made the shoulder garment of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet material of fine woven linen. And they beat out sheets of gold, and cut into threads to work in it with the blue and purple and scarlet material, and the fine linen, the work of a skilled workman. They made shoulder pieces for it to join it. It was joined at its two edges. And the embroidered band of his shoulder garment that was on it was the same work of gold and blue and purple and scarlet material, and a fine woven linen, as Yahu'ah had commanded Moshe. And they made the shalom stones set in the plate, work of gold, engraved as signets are engraved, according to the names of the sons of Yashrael. And he put them on the shoulders of the shoulder garment, stones of remembrance for the sons of Yashrael, as Yahu'ah had commanded Moshe. And he made the breastplate a work of a skilled workman, like the work of the shoulder garment, of gold, of blue, purple, scarlet material, and of fine woven linen. It was square. They made the breastplate double its length, its width, a span doubled. And they filled it with 4 rows of stones. A row of ruby, topaz, and emerald was the first row. The second row was turquoise, sapphire, and diamond. The third row was jacinth, agate, and amethyst. The last row of beryl, shalom, and jasper, set in plated work of gold in their settings. All the stones were according to the names of the sons of Yashrael, 12 according to their names, engraved like a signet, each one with its own name according to the 12 tribes. And they made braided chains of corded work for the breastplate at the ends of clean gold. And they made the 2 settings of gold, and the gold rings, and the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 cords they fastened in the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the shoulder garment in the front. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on the edge of it, which was on the inward side of the shoulder garment. And they had made 2 gold rings, and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces underneath the shoulder garment, on the front of it, close to its seam above the embroidered band on the shoulder garment. And they bound the breastplate by means of its rings to the rings of the shoulder garment with a blue cord, so that it would be above the embroidered band of the shoulder garment, and that the breastplate would not come loose from the shoulder garment, as Yahu'ah had commanded Moshe. And he made the robe of the shoulder garment of woven work, all blue. And the opening of the robe was in the middle, like the opening of scaled armor, with a woven binding all around the opening, so that it would not tear. And they made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet material twined. And they made belts of clean gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates on the hem of the robe all around between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe for the service of you, as Yahu'ah had commanded Moshe. And they made the long shirt of fine linen, the work of a weaver, for Aaron and his sons, and a turban of fine linen, and the turban ornaments of fine linen, and short trousers of fine woven linen, and a girdle of fine woven linen with blue and purple and scarlet material, the work of embroiderer, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And they made the plate of the set apart sign of dedication of clean gold, and wrote on it an inscription like the engraving of a signet, set apartness to Yahuwah. And they put it on a blue cord to fasten it above the turban, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And all the work of the dwelling place at the tent of appointment was completed. And the children of Yisrael did according to all that Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. So they did. And they brought the dwelling place to Moshe, the tent and all its furnishings, its hooks, its boards, its bars, its columns, and its sockets. And all the coverings of the ramskins dyed red, and the covering of fine leather, and the veil of the covering. The ark of the witness with its poles, and the lid of atonement, the table and all its utensils, and the showbread, the clean lampstand with its lamps, the lamps to be put in order, and all its utensils, and oil for light, and the slaughter place of gold, and anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the covering of the tent door. The bronze slaughter place and its bronze grating, its poles and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, the screens of the courtyard, its columns and its sockets, the covering for the courtyard gate, its cords and its pegs, and all the utensils for the service of the dwelling place for the tent of the appointment. And the woven garments to do service in the set apart place, the set apart garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments to serve as priests. According to all that Yahuwah had commanded Moshe, so the children of Yisrael did all the work. And Moshe looked over all the work and saw they did as Yahuwah had commanded. So they had done, and Moshe baruched them. Exodus chapter 40. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, on the first day of the new month you are to raise up the dwelling place of the tent of appointment, and shall put it in it the ark of the witness, and screen the ark with the veil. And you shall bring in the table, and arrange what belongs on it, and bring in the lampstand, and light its lamps. And you shall set the slaughter place of gold for the incense before the ark of the witness, and put up the covering of the door to the dwelling place. And you shall set the slaughter place of the sending offering before the door of the dwelling place at the tent of appointment. And shall set the basin between the tent of appointment and the slaughter place, and shall put water therein. And you shall set up the courtyard all around, and shall place the covering for the gateway. Good morning.
Morning. Yeah. I bet you this doesn't work. Okay. Is there no power in this outlet?
Should be.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I bet you this was a return. Get the other one.
think I lost my place. And I apologize for that, but he's going to return, so I can't help that. And you shall anoint the basin in its stand, and set it apart, and you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tent of appointment, and wash them with water. And you shall put the set apart garments on Aaron, and appoint him, and set him apart as priest to me. And you shall bring his sons, and put long shirts on them, and shall anoint them as you anointed their father, and they shall serve as priests to me. And their anointing shall be for them an everlasting priesthood.
Okay. Jeez. The other ones came right on as soon as I plugged them in.
I apologize again. And Moshe did according to all that Yahuwah had commanded him, so he did. And it came to be the first new month of the second year, on the first day of the new month, that the dwelling place was raised up. And Moshe raised up the dwelling place, and placed its sockets, and set up its boards, and put its bars, and raised up its columns, and spread the tent over the dwelling place, and put the covering on the top of the tent, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he took the witness, and put it into the ark, and he put the poles through the rings of the ark, and put the lid of atonement on top of the ark, and brought the ark into the dwelling place, and placed the veil of covering to the screen of the ark where the witness, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he put the table in the tent of appointment on the north side of the dwelling place, outside the veil, and set the bread in order upon it before Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he put the lampstand in the tent of appointment, opposite the table on the south side of the dwelling place, and lit the lamps before Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he put the gold slaughter place in the tent of appointment in front of the veil, and burned sweet incense on it, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he set up the covering of the door of the dwelling place. And he put the slaughter place of ascending offering before the door of the dwelling place of the tent of appointment, and offered up it the ascending offering and the grain offering, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he put the basin between the tent of appointment and the slaughter place, and put water therein for washing. And Moshe and Aaron and his sons were washed their hands and their feet with water from it. And as they went into the tent of appointment, and as they came near the slaughter place, they would wash in Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And he raised up the courtyard all around the dwelling place, and the slaughter place, and the covering of the courtyard gate. And Moshe completed the work. And the cloud covered the tent of appointment, and the esteem of Yahuwah filled the dwelling place. And Moshe was not able to come into the tent of appointment, because the cloud dwelt on it, and the esteem of Yahuwah filled the dwelling place. And when the cloud was taken up from the dwelling place, the children of Yisrael went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud was not taken up, they did not set out till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Yahuwah was on the dwelling place by day, and fire was on it by night, before the eyes of all the house of Yisrael in all their journeys.